Hey, it's Mark Ferguson with Investor More. We're back in the laundromat, the good laundromat, and we have some exciting news and videos to show on this very beautiful place. So I had some interesting people came in who I talked to who actually turned out to be the previous owners. So we'll talk about that. I talked to them for a long time, super nice, learned a lot about the place and what happened before. We also collect quarters and had a pretty good week. So we're going to show you the sales, the numbers, all of that. Pretty exciting. I couldn't talk and, be as excited as I wanted to, though, because there were people in here the whole time. And this video is actually from last week because we changed things around, too. So those vending machines are no longer there. We'll show you that at the end, what it looks like now as well, because we have a new look. So things are looking much better for this place. Maybe the other tiny laundromat will do better soon, but we'll have a video on that tomorrow. But for now, let's get right to it, see how much money we had in the change machine, which kind of gives us an indication of what is in the other machines, but we don't count it as profit. And then we'll check the washers and dryers and see what's in there, because that's really what our profit is. So I checked this earlier after New Year's, and actually went over there New Year's Day, and it had over $500 in it. And this is today, Friday, and a good amount of money in there too. So that was good to see. But just, I see so many trends from owning a laundromat for the short time I've had it now. The weekends are the busiest by far, which makes sense. So I always get really excited after a weekend if I go there and count money. So it's like, oh my God, we have so much money. It's going to be such a great week. But then the rest of the week usually doesn't add up as much as the weekend did, even though there's way more days. Now here's the vending machine, which I moved. I'll show you here at the end too. But even though we moved it, it's not doing good here either. So we moved these from the small laundromat over to this one, which is bigger, and thought maybe, hey, the vending machines will do better here. They're not. They're doing just as poorly as they did over at the other place. So I didn't even count money. I was just making sure it's working, which it was. I didn't even count money in it because there was so little. Same with the pop machine. It had very little in it. So now we're getting right to counting the money. And sorry for my finger being in the way. That's just ridiculous. But usually I use my little Insta360 camera to do this, and it's a little easier to hold. But I ran out of batteries, so now you get to look at my finger while I collect money. So I can talk and tell you all my witty banter, though, as we go along, which will distract you from my finger, hopefully. These machines always kind of do the worst. When I took over this laundromat, I took it over from another person, who we're going to talk about here at the end, who just kind of let it go. Yeah, I got like two fingers in the way. But they had these machines in back, and these are the, when I took over the laundromat, these were the nicest, biggest machines in the back, and that one always gives me a problem getting it back in. But it worked really well that time. I just had to slam it. But I also added new machines from another defunct laundromat, and I actually talked to the old owners about that too. We have all kinds of information to talk about later on. And the new ones I put up in front just blow the doors off these in back. And you'd think, maybe some people would like to do laundry in the back, away from people. Nope. The ones in front just destroy these. So it's interesting seeing that. And before, they had nothing up front. No machines up front, just kind of a half wall. But when we took that down and looked behind there, they did have machines. Who knows how long ago? There was plumbing and stuff for machines there. They just didn't have it. So again, these do fine. Nothing spectacular. This is one of our second biggest machine, a 50-pounder, so that one does okay. But again, we got a 50-pounder up front. It blows out of the water, this one, and a 40-pounder up front. It also blows it out of the water too. So, and while I was doing this, normally I like to talk and be like, oh, wow, ooh, look at all this money. Wow, this is exciting. But like I said, there was 3 groups of people in there. So I didn't want to be talking to myself and freak them out and think that I'm some kind of psychopath. It was already weird enough with me filming everything and collecting money while they're there. I know some other laundromat, oh, there's my stupid finger. Oh, go away. Other laundromat channels and stuff will go in at night and do all their coin collecting when people aren't there. I don't want to do that. I've got a family, kids. I'm pretty busy. There's someone's shoe. So I don't want to go in after hours. And that seems like it's kind of dangerous too if you're going in late at night when nobody's there. It's dark out. And if you got multiple people there, that's actually kind of like the safest time to do it. There's also a security guard that walks around the property during the day as well. So these machines, these hips, that's somebody told me to call them hips. So they're like Speed Queens, but not as fancy, even though they look fancier than my Speed Queens because they're silver. They do great. I don't know if it's because they're stainless steel and people just assume they're nicer, but they do fantastic. It might not look like there's a ton of money in these boxes, but these are actually bigger boxes than the other ones. They're taller. And so there was quite a bit of money in there. Really good to see that coming out. And yep, quite a bit in that one too. And I don't know if it's because they're in the front of this building too, but these other ones are in the front too, and they don't normally quite do as well. See, definitely not as much in these. And they're basically the exact same thing, just different color, look a little different. So, same price, all that. I guess for the same price, people will take the pretty stainless steel ones every time. There's my finger creeping in again. Jeez. I'm a horrible video. Oh yeah, that one's broken. I just want to make sure there's no money in there. I don't have a key to open some of these, so I need to figure that out and get a key to open the top of it so I can see if there's an easy fix. But you put quarters in it and it just doesn't register. That was a really good box though right there too. That was a great one. There's my finger creeping in. I think I know how to do this better after making videos for like 10 years, but apparently I'm not very good at it. All right, here's our soap machine because I took a break because there are people in the way of the other laundry machines up front, the really good ones. And more people are using this machine too. Like I said, this was repaired by the old laundromat guys who just sent me a gigantic bill, but we'll talk about that here in a second too. And of course, part of it was broken, but there's definitely more money than we've ever had in there before, so that's good. And we keep having to refill the soap machine. That's good too. Now this isn't all profit, even though I kind of listed as all profit in my sales chart later. Just remember, it's about a 50% profit margin on these. We charge, I think it's $175, or is it $150? Maybe we charge $150, and it costs us about 70 cents. Here are the big machines up front. We're starting with the 40, and that's by far the most I've had in that machine before. So that was really cool to see. I don't know if you saw me hesitate when I opened it, but like, ooh, I wish I could like shout for joy, but the people there, that also is the most we've ever had in that 50, so that was really cool to see as well. So I'm like, pretty excited because I know we've got a lot of money in these machines, more than I've ever had before. So that was cool to see. And then yeah, if I can get the key work, because the big boxes, that's a big box, have different key than the other one, and that is a lot because it's a bigger box. But I think it's about the same as we had last week, maybe a little more in the big 60 pounder. So really cool to see. And then now the dryers never have as much money. And I'll start telling the story of the old laundromat owner. So I was in there and talking to people, and one of the ladies was super nice, and I actually was in there for a while, then I left and came back and I left the mop out. She's like, oh, I wish you would have left the broom out. I would have, swept up and cleaned up in here. I'm like, oh, that's nice of you. And I'm like, what do you think of the place? Is it working good for you? She's like, yep, everything's good. I've texted you before if there are issues, and you sent me a refund. That was nice of you. I'm like, oh, no problem. I'm like, did you see it before, before I took it over? And she's like, no, I just came in after you had taken it over. I'm like, oh, okay, well, glad you're here. We made a lot of changes. And then she's like, hold on, I don't want to lie. I've been here before. I used to run the place and own it. Like, oh, okay. Hey, I got to give someone props. It takes a lot of guts to stop yourself and go back and say, hey, I wasn't fibbing a little bit. And I couldn't blame her if she was going to fib about that anyway. Like, who knows? Most people would probably do the same thing. But we started talking about it. She's super nice. She talked about how her husband owned it and had some health problems, and that's kind of what caused a decline in the business. And very upfront, very honest, very nice about all of it. And so what's really interesting, and there's not a lot of money in these dryers, but I don't know if I'm charging enough. The old laundromat guy set it at $1/4 for every 8 minutes. And a few people have told me that's too cheap, and that one, doesn't work. It's always checking. The old laundromat owners told me too, hey, we didn't raise prices. We should have. We didn't want to raise prices. But like, you could easily raise prices because your prices are a steal right now. And I think especially for the dryers. So like I said, they told me they're too cheap. People on YouTube have told me they're too cheap. Of course, I don't have any faith in the old laundromat guys and what they say after everything they've done in the debacles and machines don't work. So we'll see if I need to change those or not. Who knows? I'm sure they've spent 17 hours changing those prices anyway. But there's still a decent amount of money in there, but you know, if there was more, that would be nice, because we are in this business to make some money. But I think we still have the most money we've had on those dryers before. We'll see when we count all these quarters, but definitely more in the washer, that's for sure. So, like I was saying, things are changed around. Here's what it looks like now. You might remember in the very first part of the video, the vending machine was right next to the other machine. Again, there were people in here the whole time, and the vending machines used to be on there on the left. There's a guy sitting down, so I was trying not to film him too much. And I built that table today. We put the chairs back. I think it's much better set up. The pop machine is in the front, if you could see that for a second. The pop machine had no money in it either. Some, but not enough to count. So I just skipped that. But here, we're counting the dryer money right here. So, like I said, I talked to the lady for a long time, super nice. And then her husband came in too, and I don't know if he was going to come in anyway or not, or to talk to me, but we talked. He's the one who used to own it. He's owned a couple other laundromats before that, and super nice and super cool, very helpful. And so, yeah, he basically, he didn't have the money to fix the machines, put the capital into it, redo a bunch of stuff, and he knew he needed to get some new machines too, which we did do. And he's like, man, I really love what you did with the place. This is exactly what I wanted to do. I just didn't have the money. And, you know, got behind and just basically said, hey, told the landlord to keep the machines and everything was there, and called even. And so, really interesting to hear that, and it's kind of nice to, hey, for the old laundromat owner to say, hey, this is what I want to do, and you're doing a good job, and we're using it. So I'm like, hey, I must have some idea of what I'm doing. It's not completely all wrong. But, no, I think I was going to talk about it before. The interesting part is they have come in a lot of times. I've said that I've seen this lady before, and she has a ton of laundry and a little van. They're still doing drop-off laundry for people. Even though they don't have a laundromat, they're still doing laundry for people, just picking it up, bringing it to my laundromat to do it, and then leaving. So I definitely must have a pretty good deal if they're choosing to do that at my laundromat, because I'm sure cost and price is, you know, one of their main concerns, and having the good machines and different things. So that was kind of cool to hear too. So they did drop off at their laundromat. They had it attended all the time, but they also said it was her who was at the laundromat all the time, nonstop. They didn't hire anybody. They didn't pay anybody to be an attendant. She did it all, and it sounds like she was not sad that it was over, because it was a lot of work. So, and they've said, yeah, it's tough to pay for an attendant. It's tough to justify that cost. If you can, great, but that's a massive, you know, cost to pay people to be there all the time. So we don't have an attendant. We're one of the few laundromats in town that doesn't, and I guess we'll see how that goes for now, but it sure does reduce costs and makes it a lot easier to make money. So we'll see how all that works out in the end. Don't worry, I won't use any of that money to get a new coin counter. This is fun for me. These are the dryers, and oh, there's a quarter, a loose quarter. Someone asked me why I'm missing the hopper. I'm like, yes, I have the hopper. I have the stuff that's supposed to go on it, but it always jams so much that this is just easier because I can stick my fingers in there and get them all out. So, again, oh, we're moving on to the washer. So I don't know if you saw that. We had 700 and some quarters for the dryers, which was a record. And then now I was going to the washing machine, which I know was a record. I think, well, this is a little bit of cheating because last week I collected on Thursday and we had a record. Usually I collect on Friday, so last week was a short week. This week I collect on Friday, so this week is a long week. So we have a day extra this week, but even with that, I think we still would have broken a record had I collected yesterday, because we did really good this week. Really good to see. Positive sign. I've said it before, I think I need to make about $1,000 a week to profit. But when I was thinking about that, I was just considering, hey, there's 4 weeks in a month basically. I never really considered there's an extra, you know, half a week in many months, almost half a week, 2 or 3 days. So I don't really need quite $1,000 a month to profit. It's actually a little less than that. So still cool to see how much money we had, because I think we had 2,190 quarters are the most quarters we've had for washers, and that's actually the week before last, but that was a full week. Last week was a short week, and we still had almost 2,100 quarters. Well, we're at like 2,100 quarters now, and I still have a lot of quarters in that bucket. So this was cool to see. It was very heavy. I could tell by how heavy it was that we definitely had more quarters than we've ever had before. So there are definitely good signs. The good signs were the money we collected after the weekend, having to refill the quarter machine because it was low. But again, that doesn't always translate to quarters in the machines. And just on the cameras, it seems like there's been a lot of people there. So that's been good news. And I think there's still so much potential here to increase profits. We've only been open a month. And we should be able to get more people in there. And there is a possibility of raising some of the prices too, which would increase revenues and probably not hurt us too much. So I think we can raise prices some and still be cheaper than almost everybody else in the area. So $27.89 with a couple extra quarters that I may have counted or not counted. I don't know. They either fell out of my bucket or fell out of the thing. So in that range, definitely a huge record. Really cool to see. Now here is our sales chart, and we're gonna see how things went. This chart is looking very promising. We had the small laundromat chart that looked very promising for a while, and then it looked unpromising. We'll show that to you tomorrow. But this one basically shows what every single person I've talked to said. It's very hard to make money with a small laundromat. Very hard. Because you're paying rent, utilities. It's hard to put good machines in there. It's really tricky. I mentioned in another video of possibly putting some machines in the store, my liquor store and mini mart, and people said you can't make money with a small laundromat. You should know that, and that is true. Except the big difference there. I'm not saying I'm going to do it. I don't have any plans to do it right away. It would only make sense if I don't have to buy water or bring any extra water, which I might get away with. I don't know, because it's an existing building. It has a concrete floor, which means I can bring bigger machines in. I'm already paying rent. I'm already paying utilities. Most of my costs are already covered by the store, so it just kind of be gravy on top of it. That's why I was considering that. And now you can see we had $928 in sales this week, which is way more than any other week. Really cool to see. So if we keep this up and it keeps doing that, this laundromat is officially profitable. Now, doesn't mean it's paying for all the machines and capital and stuff we put into it, but as far as monthly expenses, rent, utilities, insurance, it is making money, which is good to see. And then hopefully we can double that or more, and then it really makes money. Then it's paying back for those machines, different things. But when you spend money on machines, spend money on capital goods, things like that, it's not just about paying them back with revenue. You're also increasing the value of the business. So if I were to ever sell the business, get rid of it, then I have those new machines are more valuable, makes the business more valuable. So there's other interesting things that those old owners told me too, in that there's another laundromat. I think I showed it briefly. That was for sale. They gutted it. It sold. Someone else bought it. Put in all brand new machines in there. Like, it's way bigger than my laundromat. Put in all new machines. Well, the old laundromat owner knows a lot of people, has connections, says that guy is trying to sell that laundromat. It's not open. It's not finished. All the machines are in there, but I don't know if they're all hooked up or if they finished. I don't know if he ran into problems or what, but he said he's trying to sell it just for the cost of machines. Get out of it. Get out of Dodge. And I'm like, do you mind telling me how much he wants? He's like, $1 million. I'm like, oh my God. He spent $1 million on new machines for this laundromat. That's maybe a time and a half to 2 times bigger than this one. And maybe he's fibbing and he didn't pay that much for machines, but I'm like, that's crazy. And I got my laundromat basically for free by paying rent. And then I paid $20,000 for the extra machines for the defunct laundromat, paid some more money to fix these machines, but that makes my deals look a lot better, that's for sure. Of course, with new machines, maybe you make more money, bring in more money, maybe you have less repair costs, but still, they're so expensive, it's hard to justify. And that old laundromat owner was agreeing with me too. He's like, yeah, Like these guys who put in new machines, unless they have a giant place just packed all the time, it's hard for them to make their money back and pay for them because they're so expensive. So it was good to get some of that back and forth, and some of the things I've been doing he agreed with, which was good to see. There's so much information out there, good and bad. It's hard to know what is good and what isn't out there on YouTube and online and all that stuff. Something else I want to talk about real briefly too. I know this is a very exciting screen you're looking at. I did a video on my commercial property where they had the illegal church, and the county's been after me, and some people said, you should start a laundromat there. And normally I'd be like, no, that's dumb. Well, I wouldn't say it's dumb. I try not to say that. But, probably not the best idea. You have to bring all this water, do all this stuff, yada, yada, yada. Actually, that building would be perfect for a laundromat because I have 3 water taps on that property, and I might have enough water dedicated already. It has concrete floors. It's kind of the right size and layout. It'd probably be a fantastic laundromat. The problem is, as we just talked about, it would be so expensive to outfit it with machines. Unless you could find a defunct laundromat and get a smoking deal like I did, it would be so expensive to put those machines in. New machines would just cost hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars. But the thing that really hurts it is there are 2 other laundromats within a mile of that location. So one is probably, that's on 18th Street. There's one on 22nd Street, 4 blocks away, 4 or 5 blocks away. Another one on 13th Street that's probably 6, 7 blocks away. They're not the nicest. They're probably some of the least nice ones in town, but they're still there. They have decent machines, and it might be tough to get people to that one unless you made it really nice, which is going to cost you a ton of money. So that actually would be a decent location. It has the water, but it's just costs so much to get these up and running. That's not something I want to do right now. So there's my laundromat video. There's the money. Good news. A new vending machine location, which has resulted in still very little sales. But the machines are what's important, the washers and dryer machines. And it's really good news to see all the money in them, people coming in to spend money, and hopefully things just keep going on this upward trend. If they do, then this probably will be a successful business. But they could always regress too. There's no guarantees in life, and we'll just have to see how all this goes. Of course, I'll be documenting it and going through it over 2024, and who knows what happens after that. All right, thanks for watching. I have many more updates on my rentals, flips, other laundromat, other businesses coming up, and love to hear what everybody thinks on this one.